This is one of the greatest meritorious deed we can do in our lifetime. Mahakaruna Buddhist Society invited me to do this online Dhamma sermon to allow everyone to practice Dhamma on the name of Sila, Samadhi and Panna, morality, concentration and wisdom. Let me thank Yixing, our beloved Dhamma sister, Natasha, for making the connection between myself and you, so that we all can engage with the Dhamma activities like today. Let me begin the sermon by mentioning the very important factor in the Dhamma sermon. In one of the discourses, the Buddha clearly mentioned the benefits of listening to the Dhamma. I do not want to remind you about that a lot, because you all are here with the idea that the Dhamma sermons or listening to Dhamma sermons brings you joy and happiness right now and for the long term. However, it is my kind of compassionate duty for all listeners to speak about the Dharma sermon and the importance of it. Dhamma Savana Sutta in Anguttara Nikaya, where the Buddha talks about the 5 benefits of listening to Dhamma. Asutang Sunati, the first important results we could get from listening to Dhamma is Asutang Sunati, which means we are able to listen to something we never heard. That's the first results of listening to frequent Dhamma listening. And then Sutang Pariyodapeti, the second benefit of listening to Dhamma is to make sure that what you heard before, you may be listening to something you heard before, having it again and again, you can make sure that you know the right thing. Then the third result, Kankang Vitarati, you would be able to let go of complexities, doubtful situation about the Dhamma. In other words, you are going to clear your mind from doubts. And the fourth result is Ditting Ujunkarati, your view, your vision of the Dhamma is going to be straight and also strengthened by listening again and again. And the last one I would say is 𝗘𝗵𝗶𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗀, you become happy. If my pronunciation of some English terms and Pali terms are not clear to you, I'm sorry. You can ask it just by raising your hand. I just want this session to be an interactive one, which means you ask some small questions and clarification. I try my best to answer them in the given period of time. So these are the 5 results of listening to Dhamma. You are going to have at least one of these just by paying attention to the Dhamma factors, as said, so that you would be really happy. As we start the Dhamma sermon, our topic for today is Sila, the moral principles as the foundation for Nirvana. Friends, when you hear this, you would definitely recall your knowledge about Sila or morality. What do you mean by Sila? How did the Buddha explain Sila with regard to attaining Nirvana? And what is Nirvana? These are some of the terms we should understand in the first couple of minutes, so that we can follow the Dhamma related to Sila and also path to Nirvana. So let's go into Sila. Sila is a Pali word that talks about restraint, sense restraint. In Pali, it's called Sangvara. In other words, we would be able to, guard our senses, ears, eyes, the nose, the tongue, the body, and also mind. These are the 6 sense bases, and we would be able to restrain them by applying some principles. So Sila, therefore, is the foundation for any spiritual activity in the name of Samadhi and Panna. So I think when we talk about Sila, many people come to a kind of conclusion that it talks about 5 precepts, Panchasila. It talks about 8 precepts. It talks about 10 precepts. It talks about precepts related to monks and nuns and so on. Friends, that is how the Sila is internalized or generalized according to the Buddha's teaching. But Sila is a widespread practice until one attains to full enlightenment. In other words, Sila should be a key factor for each and everyone to enter into the Dharma and sustain in the Dharma as a disciple and reach to Nirvana. It could be the path for Nirvana. One of our friends had asked a question about the Sila, the nature of Sila as the foundation for Nirvana, whether it is required, because there is a discussion going on that Sila is not Nirvana. I'm going to answer that question in the middle of the sermon, but right now I think I want to emphasize the fact that Sila works well in us in order to find the right tune of Nirvana. So I just take a couple of discourses where the Buddha talks about the importance of Sila for clarity of mind, and also how Sila feeds the second and third pillar of the Noble Eightfold Path. Sila has become the first foundation, and then Samadhi and Panna, concentration and wisdom, are the other 2 pillars, because Nirvana is a state of mind where there is no greed, hatred, and ignorance in mind. And in order to achieve that level of wisdom, we want to have that Sila. We want to have that Sangvar. We want to have that restraint on our senses. So one day, the Buddha was at the 𝗘𝗵𝗶𝗽𝗀𝗀 monastery, the biggest monastery at the time of the Buddha. And sometime, not only lay people came to the Buddha for questions and answers, even divine beings, came to see the Buddha for Dhamma questions. One day at a night, a divine being came and asked the question, who is going to solve the problem of suffering? Everyone in the divine existence and also human and other existence are not in a good shape in understanding the solutions for suffering. So let me know, Bhante, who is going to solve this problem? Then the Buddha's answer is very significant with regard to our topic. Sile patittaya naro sapanyo chittang panyancha bhavayang atapi nipakobiko etang vijite jata. I know that some of you are well aware of the Pali, but many of you do not know. Let me explain that. Sile patittaya naro sapanyo. The wise people always take the Sila as a good thing for their mental peace, so that they always sustain on Sila. They always practice Sila. Sile patittaya naro sapanyo. That's the first thing wise people always do. Having done that, they practice Samadhi, the concentration, one-pointedness of mind. These are some of the terms we use for Samadhi. And when you practice Sila, when you follow moral principles, your mind becomes tranquilized, your mind becomes very peaceful. Then you practice Panna, the wisdom also. The one who completes moral principles, concentration, and also wisdom reach to Nirvana. In other words, he is the one who solved the problem of suffering. So the Buddha answered that deity like that, so that we know that Sila is quite necessary for us to even to think about Nirvana. Let's go to the Noble Eightfold Path. I I came to know that last week sermon was about 𝗘𝗵𝗶𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗀 Sutta, the first discourse of the Buddha. And in the first discourse, the Buddha was able to pinpoint that the Noble Eightfold Path is the key for anyone to attain Nirvana. In that Noble Eightfold Path, we have three important factors in the middle of it, which says, Samma Vacha, right speech or harmonious speech, right action, harmonious action, and right livelihood. These three of the Noble Eightfold Path represent the aggregate of Sila. So how do we practice right speech, right action, and right livelihood in the Noble Eightfold Path? Friends, it is possible if we have right understanding and right thinking come into application. In other words, Sila is not possible to practice without samadhi, some right understanding. In other words, we have to have that right attention, right thinking about why do I practice sila, why do I want to adhere to this principle, and so on. Then only your mind is open for moral principles. You should see the significance of sila in order to practice it. So when we, with regard to the importance of sila, again I want to say that everybody come to the teaching by knowing that particular way of behavior is important. If you look at the Buddha's life, a lot of people at that time, they were not Buddhist, they were not claimed as disciples of the Buddha, but they were interested in looking at the Buddha because of the Buddha's discipline. The other word we can use for sila or good principles is, discipline. So a lot of people, even divine being, came to the Buddha because of the sila of the Buddha, because of the discipline of the Buddha. I remember one gentleman was going behind the Buddha for a long time, looking at the Buddha's physical behavior. When somebody practices sila, his behavior, physical and verbal, are going to be very accurate, very nice, very pleasant. So the Buddha's physical behavior and discipline were up to the highest point, so that many people came to the Buddha just because of that fact. So in order for us to have a better life as a lay person, as a lay disciple, we should be able to restrain our words, senses, and then words and action. So I think we know the fact that Sila make us very pleasant to others. Sila make us very skillful in our training, and Sila as the foundation for Samadhi, working well for us to practice meditation. So having said that, I just want to tell you that Sila is going to make the key thing for us in the Noble Eightfold Path. One of our friends asked the question, is this Sila is important for Nirvana? One day, one of the Venerable monks called 𝗘𝗵𝗶𝗽𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, he was a disciple of the Buddha at that time, and he actually was in a meeting with Venerable Sariputta, another disciple of the Buddha. They had a discussion. Then Venerable Punna said that he came to the order of Sangha just because attaining Nirvana, and Venerable Sariputta asked, what is the very purpose of Sila Visuddhi, the purification of on virtues, right? So we try our best to purify our mind, our senses, and so on. What is the purpose of this? Yeah, Sila is coming in the first place. Venerable Punna said that purification of our mind through Sila is important, because then only we can make our mind happy about what we do. so that we can think of how important the samadhi is. So, in other words, when we practice Sila, when we practice Sangvara, when we practice restraint, when we have discipline, we feel ourselves that we are really good, so that we feel to do something deep. Unless you feel the importance of Sila, you cannot even go an inch of the Noble Eightfold Path. That's why the Buddha wanted, and also Venerable Punna, to point out that Sila is working well there for anybody to achieve the next level of the purification. If you want to feel your mind free from unwholesomeness, you should be able to have Sila. So, when with regard to Sila, we talk about 5 principles. I just want to, focus this because a lot of people want to understand it and how to apply it in day-to-day life. And I know that you are surrounded by great monks in your vicinity, so that you would have a lot of dhamma on this. Anyway, I just want to focus that. How do we practice Sila in order to make a kind of shift from us to the next level? In Suttas, Buddha talks about 5 principles in this way. First, we should have restraint part. Pāṇāti-pātā veramani sikkhapadan samadhiyami. Adinnādāna veramani. It means we promise ourselves to abandon killing living beings. We promise ourselves to abandon stealing, and we promise ourselves to abandon misconduct, telling lies, and taking drugs and drinks that cause heedlessness. These are the 5 precepts. Friends, we can follow these 5 principles into this level, but I say this, that it is incomplete. If we take the Sila to achieve, to take us to next level of the Noble Eightfold Path. If we want to go forward from here, restraint part is not enough. We have to practice the positive side. I would say that when you abstain from killing, harming living beings, stealing, misconduct, telling lies, and taking drugs and drinks that cause heedlessness, you have done a part of it. You stop doing wrongdoing. Sabbapapa sakarana. I avoid myself doing bad things. But you haven't done any great thing there, so that you have to practice the positive of the 5 principles. What are the positive side? Having abandoned killing living beings, harming living beings, we would make sure that we practice loving kindness. That's the positive side of first principles. Having abandoned, having stopped killing living beings, we would be able to practice the concept of loving kindness, metta. Then only the first principle is going to complete in order to shift us from this normal levels to samadhi and panya level. Having abandoned stealing, we would be able to practice generosity. So you are now giving away anything you have to, for the purpose of releasing yourself from attachment. So then the second principle is going to be a completed one. Having abandoned misconduct, you time to time practice celibacy. Celibacy means you never engage with any relationship. You are totally isolated from such activities, so that there is an immense joy and happiness and relaxation. Then the third principle is going to complete to the level of spirituality we are talking about. Then, having abandoned telling lies, you speak the truth. You speak to make people to be friend. You use your words something beneficial. Then only your speech becomes perfect. Then at last, with regard to 5 principles, So you abandon taking intoxicating drinks and drugs and practice mindfulness. So when you practice this positive side of the 5 principles, that principle is going to be the foundation for completion of samadhi or concentration and wisdom. In other words, you have made the 5 principles as your foundations to reach to spiritual stages where you experience less greed, less hatred and ignorance. So friends, that's how the Buddha explained the 5 principles or Sila in the suttas. When we talk about Sila as the foundation or moral principles as foundation, it is regard to myself, it is regard to you, and it is required for all fourfold disciples. So, in one sense, it is the very important factor. For example, suppose you go to the backyard. Now you want to plant flowers. So suppose your garden is full of weed, and you have to clean it before you do something. Either flowers or vegetables, you have to grow there. So what are the first couple of things you do there in order to make prepare in order to prepare the ground? You have to remove the weeds, and you have to make the soil suitable for gardening. Then you put water. You should be careful whether there is enough sunlight and air and so on. So having prepared the ground in such a way, you plant and you expect the results of your gardening. So far in the process of gardening, what you have done is preparing the ground and making possibilities for gardening. Friends, Sila is like that. As a bhikkhu, as a monk, as a nun, as a lay male or female disciples, when you start the training yourself in the Noble Eightfold Path, you should make sure whether you speak right words, whether you do right thing, whether you make your life Dhamma center. Samma kammanta, samma vacha, samma ajiva. Right action, right word, and right livelihood talks about making sure that you have fully entered into the Noble Eightfold Path with restraint of senses. Okay. So in one occasion, I'm telling these couple of stories just because they are related to us, and we are like those monks and nuns at the time of the Buddha. Our trying is to add knowledge and apply them in day-to-day life. That's why I'm telling this short story. There was a monk at the time of the Buddha, and his name was Venerable 𝗵𝗍𝗫. Perhaps you have heard about this name, 𝗵𝗍𝗫. He was one of the attendants to the Buddha well before the Venerable Ananda. So one day, he saw a very beautiful mango garden during his alms round to a nearby village. So he thought that, oh, what a wonderful mango garden for a mendicant, especially who needs isolated meditation. So after lunch, I should go to the Buddha. He thought that I should go to the Buddha and get permission from the Buddha to come to this mango garden and meditate. So he went to the Buddha and asked permissions to go there. Then Buddha said that you are not still in a position to go to that mango garden because you do not have a companion to go with. So Buddha rejected the giving permission. Then Venerable 𝗵𝗍𝗫 insisted, I want to go because I came to the order as a monk to practice meditation and attain enlightenment. Buddha for the second time and for the third time said that you are not ready for it. But anyway, when anybody asked permissions from the Buddha for a number of time, at least 3, the Buddha gave permission. Likewise, he gave the permissions to Venerable Megya. Then Venerable Megya went to that mango garden, selected a particular mango tree where it's a beautiful place, according to the story, and he sat down for silent meditation. Friends, he was unable to meditate. He was a very good meditator before, but today, under that mango garden, despite the beautiful environment, and also very his confidence about the particular thing he's going to do, he was unable to meditate. He tried a lot, however, he was unable. Then he returned to the Buddha after several hours and said that, Bhante, I came to the order with so much devotion for you and the Dhamma and my training principles, but I'm surprised that I was unable to meditate. Only thing I experienced during the meditation is thought of sensual pleasures, thought of ill will, thought of cruelty. What is this? Why this happened to me? So then the Buddha said that that is why I told you not to go. I knew that this happened because you are not ready with 5 things for meditation. Friends, this is the very key thing here related to our topic. So the Buddha said that you lack of kalyanamitta, you lack of wholesome friendship. It is true that you are under me as my attendants. However, in terms of striving for enlightenment under a tree in the forest or in a quiet place, you should have a companion. You should have a spiritual friend who support you in need. But you lack of that quality. So the Buddha encouraged Venerable Megya to fulfill that first quality. And the second one is moral virtues, which is related to our topic. So Buddha said that 𝗍𝗲 𝗃𝗏, as a monk, you should be able to restrain on taking food, taking robes, and using monasteries, and also medicinal stuff. These are the 4 requisites for venerable monks. And you should be a person, a monk, who really, consume them only for the survival, only for the peaceful stay in order. You shouldn't have any of those things for attachment. In other words, you use them only for living. So that is the first one. And you should be mindful about training principle. As a monk, we have over 200 training principles and many more are, so that we should be able to understand the purpose of them and practice them. We shouldn't violate them. And as lay people, you have different set of principles, and you should be smart of following them with wisdom, so that there is an immense joy and happiness or satisfaction in your life. So Buddha asks us to be a matured person on Sila, so that it would be the path for nirvana would be easier. We are not saying that Sila itself is nirvana. What is the purpose of Sila? Is to make the situation favorable for us to practice the pure mind. As I said in that example, gardening. So gardening is a kind of process, and the first couple of steps is about making the ground and weeding out and putting the soil fertile with various things, and you are making the ground for growing vegetables or flowers. So Sila is playing such a role in our practice. See, without Sila, we cannot expect kindness to be completed as a training. We cannot expect compassion to be developed as such. So without Sila, we may be doing something unwanted for the spiritual training. So Venerable Megya was advised by the Buddha, 𝗍𝗲 𝗃𝗏, you should be smart in every aspect of Sila. Then only having Kalyanamitta, what we expect. Having wholesome friends in our life, what we expect from them. They are support for us to restrain our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. And then if you become a Kalyana Mitra for somebody, suppose your friend, suppose your family member, whoever it is, you always talk about don't talk like this, don't do this, because they are giving you bad karma. So always bad karma is emphasized with lack of sila, so that your friendship is going to be a very nice one for your loved one. So now Venerable Megya was advised by the Buddha to complete Sila. Then Dhamma-centered talks. That is also part of Sila. Friends, when we gather, we talk about politics. We talk about this and that. They are not that much related to our spiritual progress. Our mind becomes polluted when we engage with certain conversation. But the Buddha asked us to do two things when we gather. 𝗙𝗵𝗶𝗽𝗀 𝗃𝗏 𝗺𝗈𝗔𝗏 𝗊𝗲. You better monks do two things when you gather each other. 𝗙𝗵𝗶 𝗃𝗏. First one, Dhamma conversation. Talk about something important for you, for your mental peace and so on. That's called Dhamma 𝗃𝗏. Unless you want to engage with such talks, just be in silence. Don't split words unnecessarily. So that is a part of Sila, friends. As I said, Sila is a Sangvara, Sila is a restraint. Moral principles are there for us to restrain our mind, so that Buddha advises us to restrain our mind, restrain our words and actions, so that you are going to have Dhamma-centered talk only. So I do not want to tell other things that Buddha spoke to Venerable Megya, because they are not that related. But however, Buddha added Sila to the category, to the list of requirements for Nibbana for Venerable Megya and everyone else. So by this simple story, we come to a conclusion that Sila is required. Now I want to speak about very important thing about Sila. I think you all heard about right effort. Okay, in the Noble Eightfold Path, to reach to concentration, we should have right effort. Right effort is being explained in the Noble Eightfold Path with different words, but elsewhere in Ḍīඝ Nikāya, it talks about in fourfold, right effort, Sangvara, Prahāna, Bhāvana, Anurakkhana. Sangvara means the effort of restraint. The first and foremost, our effort should be to restrain our senses. Second, the effort to abandoning unwholesomeness. And the third one, our effort of cultivation. Our effort should be to cultivate something positive. And the last one is to maintain what we already cultivated. Let me simplify this. With regard to right effort is always attached to Sila. So in practicing moral principles, we should have right effort. Without right effort, right understanding and mindfulness, we would not be able to practice Sila. For example, suppose when we stay in our normal average life, we think of enjoying our senses. There is no limit. We tend to drink, we tend to dance, we tend to do all kinds of things as a lay person. Then what happened? You suddenly remember Buddha has talked about right effort. If I indulge with sensual pleasures in this way, demerits come to my account, and bad karma is always there, produces from such behavior, so that I might be in desperate situation right now and in the future. So you suddenly remove. So that is called Sangvara. Having taken the attention to the negative results of indulgence on sensual pleasures, you have applied the first type of right effort, Sangvara, restraint. There you have applied the first effort. Suppose you have a party to go with a number of friends. Then you know where to go and what is going to happen, and there may be morally unethical things happen, so that you now think that I go there, but I don't do this, I don't do that. I explain my friends that I don't do this because I practice my Sila, I practice my moral principles. So it's a kind of taking right effort to restrain well ahead of the very activity. Somehow you fail to act what you promise yourself. Then you come across that I am in the akusala, I did it. So there you have to get that right effort to abandon what is arisen now. So, for example, you recognize that you are beyond that normal level, so that you accumulated bad karma. So having understood that you did bad karma, now you try your best to let go of it. That is called the second. It's called prahana, your effort to abandon. Then the next is our effort to practice kusala. It's called cultivation, effort to cultivation. What should be cultivated in order to feel something happy should be all done. In other words, you see the significance of restraint, so that you apply it. And then the next level is maintaining what you already accumulated. So friends, that is with regard to right effort. Now, so far I have been talking about importance of Sila as a foundation for peace and happiness. And I told you that how some of those monks at the time of the Buddha, practiced Sila, and what the Buddha said about the Sila. So now we want to internalize this, right? So we want to make a kind of effort to do this. I know that you do it, but in order to feel the samadhi, we have to practice Sila in that level. There is a discourse that Buddha encouraged us to practice Sila into that level. Venerable Ananda was there, and he said that what is the purpose of Sila? What is the purpose of Sila? Originally, what is the purpose of Sila actually? The purpose of Sila is to be away from confusion, avippatisara. When we do not practice Sila, for example, 5 principles, we not only experience unhappiness within, we also let others to feel the same thing. In other words, when we violate those moral principles, not only ourselves experience suffering, but everybody else around us experience the same thing. So that Buddha talks about the very purpose of Sila is Samadhi Sangvattanika, or reaching concentration. And in order to reach it, first and foremost, we have to have non-confusion. When we practice Sila, we have non-confusion. Again, it's called we become away from remorse. Now, a lot of people in the world experience unhappiness in their life. That is because of lack of Sila. That is because of absence of Sila. So Buddha said to Venerable Ananda, very purpose of Sila is getting away from remorse. And then what is the purpose of remorse? What is the purpose of getting away from remorse? Avippatisara. That is the joy. It's called pamujja. Friends, let me summarize it again. When we practice Sila, our mind is getting away from remorse, worry, unhappiness, and anxiety. I'm telling this through my experience. From the time I understood Sila is important for my monastic life, I feel joy, I feel happy, I feel that I am away from lot of dangers. And you will feel the same thing, because when you do not harm anyone, when you do not steal anyone's property, even an ideas, when you feel that you are away from other misdeed, you feel a type of secured state of your life. You have that trust on you, that you have become a true disciples of the Buddha. That joy is always there. Confusion has gone, perplexities has gone. Now your mind is clear, so that joy is always there when you practice Sila, as a result of getting away from remorse. Then what is the purpose of joy, spiritual joy? The purpose of spiritual joy is piti. It's called internal peace. Joy is the initial application of happiness, and when it turn to piti, it's a higher advanced level of happiness. So now your mind is away from sensual pleasures. When you practice Sila, you are away from remorse, worry, anxiety, unhappiness, and so on. And you have now initial joy. And initial joy, when you experience initial joy, your mind become very calm and very peaceful, so that you have piti and tranquility. Your mind is tranquilized. Your mind is so gorgeous and joyful. And when you experience joyful, depending on joyful state, you are going to have serenity. You are going to have serenity. Serenity means there is no any signs of greed, hatred, and delusion. They have gone from your mind temporarily. I would say this is the culmination of samadhi. I think you have heard about jhanic experiences in the Noble Eightfold Path. There is samma samadhi, right concentration. It is being explained as 4 jhanas. So with serenity, you have clearly entered into that level of samadhi. With samadhi, what you next experience is uh, uh, whole pleasure, sukha. So joy is there, rapture is there, serenity is there. Now you have sukha, you complete samadhi. Then the very purpose of concentration is achieved there. When there is concentration, it is said in Dhammapada that samadhi, samahitang chittang yatabhutam pajanati. In the discourse, it is said that when there is concentration, there is wisdom. When wisdom is there, there is concentration. When concentrated mind appearing in us, we see things as they are. So mind become calm and peaceful and clean and clear, so that you can see the impermanence, you can see the unsatisfactoriness, and you can see the end of the tunnel and see the light. So that, friends, samadhi is the key for practicing deep wisdom. And how we reach to samadhi? With sila. This is from Anguttara Nikaya, where the Buddha talks about the importance of sila. Sila shows us how we step forward to samadhi and then panya. So that when you have the samadhi, you are going to experience things as they are. When you have that quality, it's the wisdom. Things you see things as they are. There you see that you can break the chain of suffering, the causes of suffering. We always talk about the Four Noble Truths, and in order to reach to the level of breaking the chain of suffering, we need to stay in the Fourth Noble Truth, where the Noble Eightfold Path talks, in that we can now experience breaking the chain of suffering because of the foundation of Sila. We got the foundation of Samadhi. So there we have develop wisdom. So friends, therefore Sila is been the key thing for anyone to practice Samadhi and Panna. Now I just want to go back to the Buddha's own practice, because it is the Buddha who showed us the practice of Sila into the perfection. If you look at the Bodhisattva's life, he practiced Sila Paramita, Sila as a perfection. When you focus Sila, you always focus seeing pictures from your eyes, through your eyes, and hearing and tasting, smelling, touching, and thinking. So the Bodhisattva did such a great job in practicing Sila Paramita. He never pollute his mind by seeing beautiful things. But we lack of that. We lack of that because we always we try to entertain our mind by seeing beautiful things, isn't it? Sometimes you do not, but sometimes it happens. So entertaining your mind through seeing should be stopped. Chakkuna 𝗃𝗵𝗶𝗃𝗃 𝗪𝗏𝗃𝗃 𝗪𝗏𝗃𝗃. This is how the Buddha said. Having seen beautiful, scenes, you would be able to restrain your mind. Okay, these beautiful scene makes me sensual pleasures, made me lot of unwholesomeness, so that I would restrain my mind. Chakkuna 𝗃𝗵𝗃𝗃, by seeing pictures from your eyes, nanimitta, I do not take details into my mind. Having heard beautiful sound, having tasted beautiful tasting food or whatever, having smell, fragrance, having touched comfortable things, having thought about nice, entertaining things, we always make a kind of barrier. It's mean restraint, that I do not take this because it makes my mind, polluted because of greed, hatred, tendency. That's what the Bodhisattva did. I remember once he advised his family. Bodhisattva was born to a farmer's family, and when he grew old, he got married, and now he has 2 children. And this father, Bodhisattva, always advised his son and daughter and the wife and everybody else in the family every day. He did the advice, practice Sila, because Sila makes you thought about your peaceful life. Friends, well, before you attain to enlightenment, you would be able to feel this life as wholesome, isn't it? Unless you practice Sila, unless you become your life happier right now, how could you think of something great, something called Nibbana? So first and foremost, we have to have good relationship with people. When you do not harm anyone else, and people are going to know about it, that you are a very nice person. When you do not steal anything, even any material things or immaterial things, people trust you. People even become very friendly to you, because you are a safe, very, very gentle person. And when people know that you do not misbehave physically, mentally, verbally, people like you. Friends, your moral life is a magnet. When we use magnet, we can attract all the heavy things to it. And likewise, with Sila, you become a magnet. You become a friend to your siblings, family members, friends around, people around, even animals, even immaterial things in the world become a support for you. I see the significance of Sila with this. Sometimes Buddha advised venerable monks, especially for those monks who go to the forest monasteries. He always tell that practice Sila. Sila is your foundation, because you are in the forest and animals are there, different type of dangerous animals, animals less dangerous, animals who have different ways of behavior. So when you practice Sila with compassion, they feel that you are harmless. They feel that you are not a threat to them, so that they do not harm you. They do not make any problems for you. So that's what the Buddha said to those venerable monks and nuns who went to deep forest for meditation. This shows, friends, that even the animals, even the natural objects support us when we practice Sila. So last, because time is short for a lengthy discussion, at last I want to tell you that there is a discussion between the two great disciples of the Buddha. This is about importance of Sila. One great disciple came to the other and asked the question, what is the most important things in this monastic training? Then the other great disciple said to the great disciple one, practicing Sila, being Silava, being morally wholesome is a very important thing in this order of Sangha. Then having completed your Sila, what next you should do to attain Sotapanna, first stages of enlightenment? Friends, if you want to attain the first stage of enlightenment, you first should be morally wholesome and apply yoniso manasikara, right attention, right, wise thinking. So with Sila as the foundation, you apply wise thinking. It means you understand you are an immortal person. You're a mortal person, sorry. You understand that you subject to impermanence, so that I do this and that. That's called right thinking. So right thinking is going to be there when only you become morally wholesome. Unless you are not going to be. Then suppose that particular individual attained to first stage of enlightenment based on Sila and supported by Yoniso Manasikara. What he should be doing now to go to next level of enlightenment? Then the Venerable number 2 said to the Venerable number 1, you should practice the same thing. You should be morally wholesome. Suppose when you are in Sotapanna, you are perfect with 5 principles. You are perfect with Indriya Sangvara, the sense restraint. You are perfect with other things. But from that level onward, we have to practice another Sila. Same thing, but the gravity is very much. So you practice Sila again with Yoniso Manasikara, wise attention, then you would be able to achieve the next level of enlightenment. Then the conversation goes on and on. What next to be done? What next to be done? Everywhere in each questions, Venerable number 2 says there that Sila is important along with Yoniso Manasikara. As I said at the very beginning, we all should be mindful to be morally wholesome until we attain to full enlightenment. Even the Anagami, the third level of enlightened person, needs some type of restraint in order to achieve nirvana, in order to achieve full form of nirvana. So I have, I think, 5 minutes more. Now, if you heard about the Buddha's message about Sila, he clearly says that Sila just itself is not the nirvana, but it makes things clear for nirvana. But when you stick to moral principles, you feel joy, you feel security, you feel yourself love and affection, because you feel something in your mind, so that your mind is so slowly getting away from unwholesomeness for temporary period. Having temporary period of absence of craving, you try your best to complete abandon of craving. So at the end, you find the path to total destruction of greed, hatred, and ignorance, and attain nirvana, where you started that with Sila, with moral principle. So that if you listen carefully, you came to know that that Sila has been the foundation for Nirvana. So friends, that's all I wanted to share with you today. I usually take 2 hours for this topic if I want to explain every bit of information about Sila. But anyway, I should be mindful about the time, and I did not pay attention to the chatting box for questions, even though I told you ask any questions. Anyway, I think Yixing will give us few minutes for any questions, if you have any questions, so that we could have Q&A sessions to clarify your questions. Is there any concern and questions about anything you heard? Yixing, do we have any time for question and answers? Okay. Sorry if I use so many stories and other things in my sermon, because I just wanted to make a kind of urge in you to look for many information about suttas, because suttas are the evidences where we have all this information. That's why I mentioned those suttas. Do you have any concern about how to apply Sila in day-to-day life? Because I know how difficult it is to maintain our life as a morally wholesome person in this complicated society. So, if you have any questions with regard to that day-to-day practice of Sila, please feel to ask. Yeah, the question we actually somebody asked well before the sermon was, some scholars and teachers may say that the Sila, uh, no doubt is one of the foundation of the Noble Eightfold Path, but it is not the key driver to Nibbana. What is Bhante's take on this? You know what? Suppose you go to you want to go to the United States from your home. Um, when you say that I go to the United States of America from Malaysia, how do you go? If you say that you go by plane itself, it's wrong. You take a taxi from your home, or you drive your own car, or somebody else drive for you from your home to the airport, and then you take the maybe shuttle from inside the airport, from gate from the counter, ticket counter, to the gate, and you take the plane, and not one, maybe two. Then you go to the airport in the United States, and then you go to hotel, and then you see the sceneries. So return is the same as going to the US. So you have, I want to see this example clearly, that you have used number of vehicles, number of mode of transportations to go to the United States of America and return. So not one vehicle you used, couple of. Likewise, we keep the nirvana as the the main purpose of our life. We as average disciples of the Buddha may not be able to directly practice panya at once. Our mind is wild. Our mind is always open to sensual pleasures, anger, ill will, doubts, and also restlessness, worry, anxiety. So, in order to restrain our mind from those unwholesome state, we have to have a tool. So what is the tool we use to take our mind away from those 5 hindrances, unwholesomeness? That is Sila. You slowly, make a kind of effort to stop telling lies and doing unwholesome things for yourself and others. Now you slowly feel that something is going on in you, peaceful, soothing, calming. That is because of restraint, sangvara, sila, because of moral principles. So no matter who says this and that, we from our experience know the fact that Sila has made the ground for us to practice Samadhi and Panna. Samadhi and Panna may not be coming to effect in us if not Sila is there. So if you read through Majjhima Nikaya, the middle and discourses of the Buddha and other section of the Dhamma, you clearly see how the Buddha talks about Sila, how the Buddha asks people to practice noble principles. During his last journey called Mahaparinirvana Sutta, he always tells monks and nuns, even lay people in villages he passed by, do not worry about do not worry about anything after this life. If you practice Sila, you would end up your journey in again human existence or divine existence. That shows how important Sila. Suppose attaining Nirvana may not be possible now, but you make sure that you attain to a certain level of happiness right now, and next life would be really, really peaceful because of Sila. And again, when you make sure that you are happy right now, you have that mood to practice Dhamma in the name of Panya and Samadhi, or Samadhi and Panya, to feel the taste of Nirvana. So that from many ways we can show that, from the text we can show that, from our experience it is possible to show you that Sila is working well in us for the purpose of happiness right now and also attain Nirvana. You never respect me if I am not practicing Sila. As a monk, I should follow those principles, then only you respect me, otherwise you do not. Likewise, we saw from ourselves and also among the community, if somebody is recognized as a wholesome person, he or she has some moral principle. So friends, that's what I can tell you for the question. So I think that's all I can share today, depending on the time. I would wish here that may these wholesome thoughts about Sila and Samadhi and Panya help you become maturing in Sila. May you be able to practice moral principles as uttered by the Buddha and get closer to the Nirvana. At least you would be able to knock in the door of Nirvana by practicing Sila. May these blessings be with you. May these blessings be with all of your family members, and may these merits be with your departed relatives. May we all attain Nirvana. With this wholesome thought, I am going to share the merits with everyone else. Akasatta ca bhummatta devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu sasanang chirang rakkantu desanang chirang rakkantu tvang sada. By the power of these merits, may all living beings be well, happy and peaceful. May these merits should go to divine beings who likes Dhamma sermon. May they protect you all, especially Mahakaruna Buddhist Society and the Chief Reverend Bante Sarnankara and my good friend Yi Xing. We call her Natasha. May these individuals who work for the Dhamma dissemination should be protected by divine beings and also these merits. Finally, may you all be in moral principles strongly and practice Samadhi and achieve Nirvana by the completion of Panya, wisdom. And may your departed relatives also be well, happy, and peaceful. With this wholesome thought, say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Abhivadana silissa niccang vaddapachayino chattaro dhamma vaddanti ayuvanno sukhang balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminate samijjetu. Thank you very much. May you all be well, happy, and peaceful.
Thank you very much, Bhante. Thank you for your time and the teaching for all of us. We also wish Bhante good health and happiness.
Thank you,
Sadhu,
Bhante.
sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Bhante.
Sadhu, sadhu,
You're
sadhu.
welcome. Okay, you good night. I'm still in morning time.
Oh.
So yeah, it's 9:40 now. So wish you all very, very peaceful good night.
Thank you so much, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
You're welcome.